on this election day. Stay tuned for KC Phillips and Road Dogg Live coming your way in just a moment. Today is going to look at how we stack up the United States against other world economies. Today we will know if there will be a shift in policy and what happens if we impose trade sanctions with China. Will you pay more for American products? Will that increase shipping rates? U.S. Department of Treasury's published an assessment on European Asian economies, and KC will also take a look to see just how well everyone else out there is doing. That's coming up with KC Phillips and Road Dogg Live in just a minute. Also got in his vote. He said he believed Reagan's going to win. Ritchie, KC must be smoking something. I mean, we didn't go in a time warp.
Well, he is in Tennessee. Information trickles slow down there.
That's true. Well, I just picked up the Birmingham News a little bit ago, and the headline was Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. That was today's edition.
Casey, I hate to break it to you, but LBJ's not running this time around. Sorry, man.
Well, now we've been talking to everybody about this. Of course, you are a political junkie, I think more than I am, which is saying something, which means we both need to get a life. Mm-hmm. Who do you think is going to come out on, not your personal preference, who do you think is going to come out on top of this horse race?
Obviously, everybody here knows my personal preference, and obviously, so I'll spit that out right away, and it's Barack Obama. From analyzing this the way I have over the past 2 years that this campaign's been going on, I just think when all is said and done, Barack Obama is going to win. And to be as objective as I possibly can about this analysis, I'll say is I think we're at a point where just not liking the sitting president isn't going to be enough to unseat him. And all the calls that we've heard today, we've even heard actually Diane touch on it a little bit, and in the weeks leading into this, every complaint I hear about these candidates, I always hear about why I hate Obama. I rarely hear anybody calling. In fact, that last caller may have been maybe the one that, because he actually had some Romney points, even though I disagree, but he did have valid points. But most times when you hear people who are voting for Romney, I don't get the sense that they're voting for Romney as much as they're voting against Barack Obama, and that's just not going to be enough. And there's precedent for that. I'm sorry to cut you off and to be babbling, but there's precedent for that, because if you look back to the 2004 campaign, there was about as many people who hated, and I use that word on purpose, hated George W. Bush as much as this sitting president, Barack Obama, is hated. And the Democrats put up a really crappy candidate, just like the Republicans did this time around, and it didn't work. It backfired. John Kerry lost, and because he was not a better replacement for the guy they already did not like.
And I think, too, it is interesting that I was watching John Dickerson, who's covers politics for CBS News last night, and one of the things that he was pointing out is that in looking at their so-called magic wall that they've got there and basing it on states that have traditionally gone in one direction or another, is that he pointed out that President Obama has got more different paths to victory. I mean, you've got about 8 toss-up states out there. You could argue over the exact number, but his point was pretty good, that the fact that all Obama has simply got to do is take a couple of these toss-up states, and he goes into the win column. They started him out with 237 electoral votes and Romney at 191 based on previous voting patterns, and then with these toss-up states, just getting one out of it, a couple of about 8 is all he really needs. So I think the path for Mr. Obama is certainly easier, but then again, I'm never counting anything out when this thing is over. Who knows? We may be up well past midnight, burning the oil to find out like we were 12 years ago.
I know, and I'll be looking forward to every second of it. I'll be up all night watching it. But just real quick, while I'm throwing out predictions, if you don't mind, I'm going to throw out my prediction. I got Barack Obama 332, Romney 206, Gary Johnson 0. So that's where I am on that.
We'll find out how it all turns out.
332, 206. I'm using Price is Right rules, so we'll check it out tomorrow.
We will certainly do that. And, of course, tomorrow on the Lockridge Report, we will have more. I'll be joined by the Director of Governmental Affairs with the California Construction Trucking Association and its Interstate Conference, the Western Trucking Alliance, Joe Rockovitz, as we'll talk about the results of the presidential and congressional races and how trucking could be affected. That is tomorrow on the Lockridge Report, 2 p.m. in the East, 11 a.m. in the West. Until then, have yourself a good and safe evening, and thank you for joining me, Evan Lockridge, for this Election Day special here on the Lockridge Report, Sirius XM 106.